That was a scene outside of New York federal courthouse after a verdict was announced in the case against Sean Combs. Jurors deliberated for 13 hours over 3 days and reached a unanimous verdict on 5 charges against the hip-hop mogul. Combs was found guilty on 2 charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, but not guilty on sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. Combs now facing a maximum possible sentence of up to 10 years in prison. The judge has not yet officially given a sentencing date. Here to break it all down for us is defense attorney Darryl Cohen. And Darryl, this was our little Super Bowl between me and you right here. And Combs was cleared on most of those serious charges, but convicted on Mann Act violations. From your perspective, what does it say about the jury? And first of all, explain Mann Act violations. What is that?
It is taking someone across state lines for indecent or immoral purposes. In other words, sex situations. That's really all it is. Very simple, and it's sort of a catch-all that's been used forever in order to get someone. Think of Al Capone. They knew he was a terrible person. What did they get him on? Tax evasion. No big deal, right? Well, it's just enough to get him under their thumb. And that's what the Mann Act is. And Chesney, it's very interesting to me. I thought that the federal government overreached when they charged Mr. Combs with something called, what am I calling it? Oh, RICO. It's really a reach to get RICO. And so I saw his defense team, and I thought they did a nice job. But also, they were just unbelievably happy. Why were they so happy? Because he didn't get convicted of the RICO charges, but he still is convicted on not 1, but 2 of the Mann Act charges. Each one of them carries a possible penalty of 10 years. Will he get 10 years? I don't know. As you know, and as the public knows, and all of our viewers know, there was a bond hearing yesterday where his team wanted him to be released on a $1 million bond and several other situations to keep him tight, give up his passport, etc. The judge said no. So why did the judge do that? We don't know. We don't know if the judge is planning in October, when the sentencing is now scheduled for, though there's a hearing next week trying to move it up. We don't know if the judge is going to say, okay, you've been incarcerated for this period of time. Here is the sentence. Walk out the door. We don't know if the judge is going to say, you know what, you could have had 20 years. I'm going to give you 7 or 8. And in the federal system, we all need to remember, you serve 85% of that time. There is no parole. So I don't know what's going on. It would have been nice if the cameras had been in the courtroom. We would have known what the jurors' feelings were. We'd have watched their body language, their facial expressions. I'm told some of their facial expressions included rolling their eyes. Well, this is not a good look for the prosecution, but it's not a complete win for the defense. It's the prosecution didn't win what they wanted. They won less, and the defense, they didn't win everything. They lost less. They're still facing incarceration.
What you and when we first started talking about this, you thought he was in thick pudding. I remember you saying that. What surprised you most about this case?
Well, it was the length of it. I always believed, as a former prosecutor, in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it short, stupid. The government just went on and on and on. I would have focused in on 1 or 2 things. I would have amended the indictment, gotten rid of RICO, and made it simple for the jury. And that is what they did not do. It went forever. And so the defense did their job. They said, hey, this is Hollywood. This is the record business. We do what we do here. You do what you do as a public. We're different. We didn't bother anybody. We didn't force anybody. And that's not what the evidence showed.
Yeah. Well, so we won't hear any more until October, or will we hear something? Or is there something in between now and then?
There is a hearing scheduled for next week where the defense wants to move up the sentencing. Normally, there's a PSR, pre-sentence review, looking at the defendant's background done by a federal probation officer. And he or she will look at all of the facts and all of the circumstances and make a recommendation to the United States District Court judge. The judge can take that recommendation, follow it completely, follow it not at all. But the judge also will take into account anything that made it worse or made it better. And there are something called the sentencing guidelines, which in the beginning, when they came out, they were a suggestion. Then they became mandatory. Now they're back to a suggestion. So the judge can do whatever he wants, anywhere from 0 to 10 years per count. So it could be 20 years, 10 years consecutive, one on top of the other, or it could be 10 years, it could be 5, it could be 2. I don't know what the judge is thinking, and it would be helpful if we had seen the judge while the trial was in play, watching the body language, watching the facial expressions.
Gotcha. All right, Darryl, don't go anywhere. We're not done with this thing yet. We're going to bring you back in, especially as we hear the sentencing and get the finishing touches on this case. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much for your insight always.
Thank you. Happy 4th.
All right, same to you.